Welcome to the Commissioner's Corner, where you will hear directly from Commissioner Mark Schroeder on all things DMV. Good afternoon, Commissioner. So glad to have you with us again today.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, and I always like starting off with talking a little bit about our governor. As you know, I've mentioned this before, she is the first woman governor of the state of New York. Some might know she's the only second governor from Buffalo, New York, where I'm from. But the most important thing is she is the only governor in New York State history who actually has run a DMV. So she's very familiar with the subject matters we're going to be talking about. But I just want to talk about briefly some of the things that the governor is working on right now. She is fighting for families in New York State. She offered an affordability package during her budget process. And also she is determined to put more money in the pocket of all New Yorkers. She also has offered a proposal on child care tax credits. She is forever trying to protect kids, especially on social media. She even went so far this year to ask the schools to figure out a way to have those cell phones put away so that the kids can concentrate on learning all day and not being preoccupied by the phone. She continues to work on mental health issues at an agency level, but for all New Yorkers as well. And she's always interested in public safety.
And speaking of public safety, today we're going to discuss drowsy driving. And I want to start this off with a couple statistics. According to Gallup polling, in a given month, about 7.5 million people nod off while driving in the U.S. Additionally, the Institute for Traffic Safety Management and Research reported that last year there were nearly 2,400 crashes in New York State alone in which police reported that the driver was drowsy or fell asleep. That's more than 6 a day, Commissioner. And of those crashes, more than 850 involved at least one injury.
Yeah, so, as you know, not only am I privileged to be the commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicles, but I also serve as the chair of the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee. And I remember the very first event I ever did in 2019 when I became commissioner is I went to the University of Buffalo, and there were a room full of students, and we talked about drowsy driving and those situations. The statistics that you cited are very, very troubling. Opportunities like this to talk to New Yorkers is a very good thing.
Drowsy driving is extremely relevant at any time and so important right now as we change our clocks on March 9th. We're going to spring forward, getting that extra glorious hour of sunlight, but it also means we lose an hour of sleep. But before we get deeper into drowsy driving, what's something that you look forward to this coming spring?
Well, first and foremost, I am a devout New York Yankee fan, and they already are playing some preseason games in Tampa, and so soon it will be baseball season. Then I also look forward to opening up. We have a pool in the backyard. I have 2 granddaughters, 12 and 11, and it's an opportunity for them to bring their friends, which you always want kids around your house, right? So that you can see what they're doing.
Right.
And so I'm looking forward to that as well. So, but I also tell you from a business perspective, from a DMV, GTSE, springtime is a time that we go to the high schools and we talk to kids about the importance of being alert. Don't drive drowsy.
Right.
And certainly no drinking and driving or drug driving. These are things that are important. When kids are graduating, you don't want an empty seat of a kid who something happened, to him or her, during the prom season and during graduation season. So these are things that are most important, and we are ready in the springtime to talk to young people, especially, but all people, but young people in the springtime.
And you just hit on something, because young people between the ages of 18 to 29 have the highest likelihood to drive while drowsy.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that. You would think that maybe older people would be the problem, but it really isn't. But I can remember when I was like in my early 20s, and I would take the bus to work, and I would be standing up on the bus, holding on. I could sleep. I could fall asleep standing up. You know, so I get that stat,
right.
and that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure that we talk to young people,
Right.
because a lot of times they're working around the clock. They're doing things. They're in school. They're working. They're trying to take care of their family. There's a lot going on, so I can see why they would be so tired. But there are solutions. There are solutions to it.
And with the solutions, what are some common signs of drowsy driving?
Yeah, so it's pretty obvious, you know, when you're driving and you know you're in trouble and you start singing to yourself, or you start pinching yourself or hitting yourself, or you open the window. And a lot of times these types of gimmicks, even, you know, stopping and getting caffeine, it often doesn't really work. I know this firsthand. When I was in the New York State Assembly, we would be overnight. I used to call it the Assembly Slumber Party, right? All night long, you're voting on bills.
Yeah.
After a few years, at 8 o'clock in the morning, when we're all done, I would go to my hotel room and sleep for 3 or 4 hours and then drive. But there was a couple times where I didn't do that, and you're driving back from being up all night, and it's impossible. And
Very tough.
those workers who are working the graveyard shift, or they're working shift work, or a double. And then when they're driving home, the only solution really is, if you can, pull over.
Right.
Pull over for 20 minutes. I've done it. Take a little nap, and you'll feel so much better.
That rest really does help. Now, on the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee website, you can find a link there that there's a quiz that actually rates how likely you are to fall asleep. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so our website, DMV, and the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee is deluxe. It has all the information. Now, all we have to do is entice people to go on it.
Use it.
And sometimes those who need it the most don't go on, right? So there is the quiz, and if you answer the questions, it would show you the likeliness of you being drowsy and at what time. There are certain times of the day that the quiz would also identify. So if you're able to take a little rest, then that would be good. But you know, New Yorkers especially are moving so fast. They have so much to do. But sometimes when you take a quiz, or you go on the website and try to get some hints, sometimes it can be very, very helpful.
And also, you know, of course, avoid drowsy medications and alcohol. Even if you think you've given it plenty of time, rest is really the best solution in those cases.
That's a whole different subject matter.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, about drunk driving and drug driving. And those are very dangerous, unlawful things to do. But also, if you know that you're exhausted and you have to go from A to B, and you can't stay awake, yet you really have to help yourself and your family, and innocent bystanders who could be affected, by you not doing the right thing.
And great information. Stay awake and stay alive, right?
Yeah. You know, the other thing that I want to congratulate the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee on is they work contests with the young people and for PSAs, public service announcements. And so I remember the very first one I went to in Buffalo in 2019. These are kids who put together PSAs, and then at the end of the day, the winners can receive a little cash prize,
Right.
Which is always helpful when you're in college. The Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee, DMV, we're doing the best we can to work with our partners, our law enforcement partners as well, to make sure that everybody is safe on the roadways.
And this contest will be running this spring as well, correct?
Yeah, so it's something we've been doing consistently since I've been here, and I think, quite frankly, we've been doing it a long time because it works. And not only can you engage young people to come up with creativity in terms of what the message is, but for them to be able to win a cash prize or to gain some notoriety amongst the students, that this class won, or this student won, or this discipline, won. And so I think it's a really good thing.
It is an amazing thing. And thank you, Commissioner. Before we go, can you tell us something that helps you get to sleep at night?
So I will tell you, I'm up at 5:45 a.m. and I don't stop until about 8:30 p.m. And then I do what some nutritionists will probably say is not good. I don't eat until the end of the day when I know I can just relax. And then I'm gone. I fall asleep and my wife and when my granddaughters are over, they kind of muse that Papa is sleeping at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And so it's true, except for when the Yankees are playing. I can stay awake for them.
Or for me, football season when the Bills are playing those Sunday night games, you got to stay awake.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you again, Commissioner.
I'm happy to be with you. Thank you.
And that ends another episode of the Commissioner's Corner, where we drive you forward.